Hey guys, this is a Donchian channel. It was created by a guy named Richard Donchian. A lot of people have been trying to figure out how to trade it over the years. Well, here's a free tool that you can use. It's called the Probability Tool Suite Classic, and you can use it for all types of things, not just the Donchian channels, but you can see how often anything wins and loses and moves and whatnot. I'm going to give you a little primer on how to use it. The link is below. Just click on the button, download it, install it into your MT4 indicators folder, and use it. Okay, what we're looking at here is just an indicator. I'll go to the indicators tab here. I've got two things listed, the Tool Suite Classic and Donchian channels. If I take Donchian channels off, it will just leave me with the tools, with the what we call the new trend arrows. That's just what we call them. Basically, they are Donchian channels with a few little things, and I'm looking at long only right now, and I can see that over the next 72 bars, which we're looking at hourly bars, so over the next 72 hours, how often does price rise once it hits a Donchian channel? Well, it'll go up by 10 pips within that time period, 93% of the time. It'll go up by 20 pips, 85%. It'll go up by 30 pips, 78%, and 40 pips, it'll go 71% of the time. This is over the past 200 times that it's happened, and this is long only. If you want to look at both long and short, and this is an 80 period Donchian channel, by the way. If you want to look at both long and short, you can. You just go in there and click on it, and it'll show you long and short. And you can look at the percentages there. Let's pretend that price doesn't go in our favor. Like right here, price went in our favor, but here price did not. How often does that happen? How often does price reverse when it hits that Donchian channel? Well, it'll drop by 10 pips 98% of the time, by 20 pips 93% of the time, 30 pips 84% of the time, and 40 pips 74% of the time. So is it a working strategy? Well, it just depends. Maybe we can reverse it. Let's look at reversing it. And I have lost my reverse button. If you don't like looking at it like that, you can look at it like this. Go against signals. We'll just reverse it. There, now you're going against the Donchian channels, and there are your probabilities. If you want to learn how to use it, you can come on over into our free chat room, which I will show you where it's at. It's just called General Chat, and we will talk to you about it and how to use it in there. It doesn't cost anything. Just visit the link in the description below on the YouTube here. So let's look at another type of indicator. Let's look at RSI. We're just going to put an RSI over. It's a 14 period. And we want to mimic that with the tool suite. We want to see how often things happen. So we're going to go over here. Instead of new trend arrows, we're going to choose RSI. And we'll leave the parameters alone. The parameters are down here. You got to find it. RSI 14 period, 70, 30. We're looking at the close price only, and we're looking when it crosses into an overbought or oversold area. How often does it move? Well, it moves. Let's see here. If it gets up into the overbought area, like it did right here, it'll pull back 90% of the time, but it will continue going 91% of the time. So you can see things like that. You can look at how often price expires in a certain amount of time. These are for things like Nadex and Cantor Exchange and binary options. You can look at expiry. And you can see how often things have happened right here, 597 times. You can see it happened 50% of the time, so it's basically a break-even strategy. You can also see that it's had 9 winners in a row and 7 losers in a row, over the course of that time frame. Maybe that gives you nothing. Maybe you're like, okay, well, let me tell you what an expiry is. See this line right here? This is an expiry line. This means that whenever the price either has to be above or below any one of these lines, and if it is, it will spit out the probabilities over here. I'll teach you more in the chat room. But this is not a winning proposition. What is a winning proposition possibly would be an in the money trade or an out of the money trade. And we can also look at different expiries, such as instead of looking at a 72-hour expiry, let's look at an expiry that ends every day at 3 p.m. Well, now the probabilities have went up to 53%. It's happened 1,100 times. And let's also look at what if we only wanted to trade that strategy between the hours of 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. MT4 time. Would that help or hurt? Well, that hurt. That hurt the probability. So we know right off the bat that the RSI is crappy during those time periods. So let's try outside of those time periods from 9 a.m. until we're going to eliminate the period between 5 and 9. And now we're going to only trade from 9 around the clock until 5. Okay, probabilities went up just a little bit, but not too much. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go in here, instead of looking at a 3 p.m. expiry, we're going to look at a 3 a.m. The at the money probability was 53%, and it has now dropped to 52. So we're going to try a different expiry, and we're just going to continue to look. Do these work for 11 a.m. expiries? Nah. What if we try, you know what if we try different currency pairs? Does this work on the USD yen? No. No. Yes. Now, does it work with futures and stocks and whatnot? Yeah, it'll work. This is not a good strategy, but it still works with them. But one thing that I like is futures. Where are we at? Where are we at? Do the Dow Jones because I like it. Now, we can see right off the bat that this strategy is not winning. It's not a winning strategy. So what can we do? We can switch it around. We can start looking at different expiries. We can start looking at different time frames, or we could totally reverse it. And when we do that, it will tell us or give us an idea of how often this strategy pays off. Now, here's a strategy that looks like a trend following strategy, and you can see that right here. As price continues to drop, it's going to sell it all the way down. It's got a 53% win rate. As price rises, it'll buy it all the way up for a specific expiry. It's got a 53% win rate over the past 80 signals. That's really not enough signals for me to base anything off of. But let's see if we can open it up here. Nah. Let's see, how about long only, because we're looking at a future here. Long only, 62% of the time it's a winner. It expires, well, this is over, now mind you, this is only over the past 43 times this has happened, okay? So we don't have enough data here, but it will give you an idea. There it is. There's the Tool Suite Classic. It's free. I will teach you how to use it, but you got to get in the chat room. I'm not going to answer anything on YouTube. So look at the look at the links in the description below, and we will give this to you for free. All right. Thank you. See you on the inside.